This concludes the favorite recipes part. Now it's time to make sure that we actually filter our recipes, because keep in mind, in category meals screen, we're actually retrieving our filtered meals from our state. And right now, of course, in our state, that filtered meals property always holds all meals and never changes. And that's something I want to change as a next step. Again, let's start by adding an appropriate action. That starts by adding a identifier, which I export here. And I'll name this set filters, and set filters here as a text as well, and create a fitting action creator function, set filters. And here I expect to get an argument with my filter settings. That should be an object in the end with the is gluten-free, is lactose-free, is vegan, and is vegetarian data in it. And I will return an action object where the type, of course, is set filters, so this identifier. And then the filters, well, that's my filter settings object. So this object with all the, true or false values for the 4 different filter criteria we have. That's the action creator. Now what shall we do in the reducer? In the reducer, we now need to handle that new case. So here, before default, I'll add the case where I handle set filters. And for that, you need to import the set filters identifier from the meals actions. And in set filters, the goal now, of course, is to update our filtered meals to reflect the filters setup. Now keep in mind that this action will contain the filters key, which in the end will be a JavaScript object which has something like gluten-free true, lactose-free false, and we want to reflect these settings in our filtered meals array. So here I'll have my applied filters, let's say, where I simply extract the filters from the actions. That's of course a step you could leave out. I'm just trying to write understandable code which speaks for itself. So I'm just extracting the filters set up by the user, and we'll take care about dispatching this action later. And then here, I'll set my filtered meals, create a new filtered meals constant based on my total meals, so not the filtered meals, but all the meals available. And there I want to filter them with the built-in filter method JavaScript offers. Filter always returns a brand new array, which is good because I don't want to edit any existing array just yet. I want to get a new array instead. And that will be an array where it keeps all items for which this function we pass to filter returns true, and drops all items where we return false. This function will run for every meal, and then now in this function, we can go through all the filters the user set and check whether that meal matches any of the filters and therefore should be dropped, or if it passes all filters, so to say, and should be kept. So here we can check if filters dot gluten free, and I simply expect that my filters, applied filters, that this object I get has a gluten-free key. If that is true, and my meal is not gluten-free, and hence I need to add exclamation mark here, then I know that this meal should be dropped, right? Because it is not gluten-free, but I have a filter that it should be gluten-free. So I will return false, and I don't care about any other filters because it already doesn't match this filter. I can drop it. If we make it past this if check, we can check the next filter. Applied filters lactose-free. If that's true, and my meal is not lactose-free, same logic as before, with the gluteins, I can return false and drop it. Next if check. If applied filters vegetarian is set, and my meal is not vegetarian, so same logic as before again, I can drop it. Because I might have passed the other filters, but if the meal is not vegetarian, but I'm looking for vegetarian meals, then I should get rid of it. And last but not least, applied filters dot vegan. If I'm looking for vegan meals, but my meal is not vegan here, and by the way, here I'm just leveraging all these properties that are part of my meals. If we have a look at our models at the meal, there we do have is gluten-free, is vegan, and so on as properties on every single meal. So every single meal has the information for which filters it should be included or excluded. So every meal has that, and I'm just using this here in the reducer. So therefore here, in the vegan case, I also want to return false. And only if I make it past all these if checks, I know I have a meal that matches all filters I set, and therefore now I can return true. I'm still inside of that filter method, and I return true, which means I want to keep that meal in my filtered meals constant, which is my new array. And now overall, after deriving this filtered meals array, I have to return a new state by copying the old state, and then I want to override my filtered meals here with the filtered meals I derived here. So filtered meals on the left of the colon is the property in the state object, so essentially this property, and filtered meals on the right side of the colon refers to this constant. I can also name this updated filtered meals to be clearer about this. This is how my state gets updated when filters get set. Now, of course, we need to make sure we also dispatch this action eventually.